We're in this all together. We need an ecosystem change. We're not gonna transition our economies if only some of us are moving. So we need governments and regulators, we need the private sector, we need the finance sector, all of us embedded in the community at large to move. We're not moving all together, it's not gonna work. It's really, really important to note. And why I say this is, how do we galvanize companies? It doesn't matter, there can be many different pressure points. It can be a consumer requesting for more sustainable products. I want to drive an EV, or I want to consume products that apply circular economy concepts so that I reduce my waste. That is a decision that a consumer can take. Then you have people like us. We are a bank. We have committed to being net zero in our financed emissions, so the emissions we're enabling, again, with our lending and financing to be net zero. And by doing that, we reallocate capital. And capital facilitates economic activities. So if we move away from high-emitting activities to lower carbon alternatives, it means there's an incentive for people to move because they get easier capital and or cheaper capital. So there could be pressure from the finance sector. And ultimately, there can be pressure from government and regulators. For example, dictating a carbon price as one example, or many other things. So my point is, the pressure points can come from different areas, and they should come from different areas. And one thing that is also really important is transparency. So there's a huge movement globally around actually being more honest and disclosing more data around our impact on social and environmental matters. And if there's more data and information out there, and at the moment that's still a challenge, but it's improving step by step, then we can take informed decisions as a consumer, informed decision as a bank, and so on and so forth. So many things are flowing together ultimately. It would be great, right? You go to a cold storage or wherever you buy your groceries, and you have a barcode and it tells you what the carbon footprint of the product is. Many people are thinking about it, but it's not yet actually implemented. So better data will allow us to take better informed decisions, and the ecosystem will drive it. On the carbon tax, who likes paying taxes? Let's be honest. Nobody likes paying taxes. Are you getting joy out of paying taxes? But actually, if you think about it, the higher purpose of the tax is something very positive. The same with our income tax. The purpose here is to incentivize, to be more creative and more innovative and produce new products and services that are fit for purpose in a lower carbon society. So the carbon tax, as horrible as it might sound at the start, actually serves a very beautiful purpose. And my belief is, companies that are embracing sustainability will be more innovative. They will create better services and products. That's the history of Singapore, always reinventing itself. So I actually think that a carbon tax might even be a competitive advantage rather than just looking at it as a disadvantage.
So I was actually talking to my colleagues today about the carbon tax, and I don't think people realize how important it is as a tool to get us to net zero and to shift companies along, because it's really aggressive. Even I was shocked when it was announced to be $25 from 2024 to 2025, $45 from 26 to 27, and then $50 to $80. And the revenue is also important, right? How the government recycles the revenue back into energy efficiency grants and other climate mitigation and adaptation measures. So if you do the math, right, 52 million tons, about 80% comes from power and industry, and they're the ones who pay the tax. So it's about 40 million tons in Singapore, right, that they pay a $5 tax. So it's about $1 billion over 5 years, if you do the calculations. In future, they're going to be paying tens of millions of dollars, even up to like 10 billion if the carbon tax reaches, and when it reaches $50. So this is really important for them to actually decarbonize quickly, because otherwise they have to pay $50 or $80 a ton of CO2, and they account for 80% of Singapore's carbon emissions, right? So it is an important tool, but it's not the only tool. So energy efficiency is still going to be really important for Singapore. We have effectively set a carbon budget of 65 million tons, right? So to speak, because it's a peak target. So if we exceed that target, let's say we emit 70 million tons, we have to bring it down by 5 million by hook or by crook, right? We have to either decarbonize or we buy carbon credits from somebody else who can do it cheaper or who have the land to set up projects to develop those mitigation abatements.
We are quite happy not to collect a single cent of carbon
Yes,
tax.
that's
So if we
great.
don't emit carbon anymore, the government don't collect, and we are quite happy that that happens.